See here, let's move this thing out of the way. Cool. Alright. Been a long time since I've done one of these. So here's the situation, people. I tried to set up my studio. I've got my mic and all this stuff going now. So I'm gonna try to do these a little more often if I can. If you guys are listening to what I'm listening to right now, I'm listening to some synthwave stuff. But I'm here to talk about a robot that I'm currently working on building. I know a lot of people out there have been really anxious to see what I'm actually currently building and doing. I'm going to bring up YouTube real quick in case you guys are actually on my live stream and commenting, so I'm still trying to set this up, so bear with me. Let's see here. My channel. Let's see here. Live. Oh, okay, it's showing it on live. Cool. Let's see. Alright, well. I'm gonna mute this thing. Okay, I got the chat up. Cool. Alright, so I'm gonna do this and pull this thing out for a second. Cancel that, I don't want to do that. Probably should have set all this up before. My bad. Anyway, let's see here. Okay. That's kind of tiny. Let's see. Let me move my pole thing over here. And then move this over here. Make this big again. Kill this thing because I don't want to see the stream. I just need to see comments if we're making any. Alright, top chat. What is this? Get me in here, guys. There we go. I'm able to actually see that. I'm still setting things up, so bear with me. Alright. Let's see, I'm going to try to share this stream on Facebook real quick. That way people can see I'm on. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. So, let me see here. Alright. Copy those things just in case I need to. There we go. If I have anybody in chat, hi. I don't know if anybody is. It's not a big deal if you're not. Right, let's see here. Hey, you can do this. This may help. Cool. Alright. So, anyway. Back to what we were talking about. What I was going to talk about. I've got this robot that I'm actually building. This thing right here. It's a really interesting thing that I am working on because this has been a childhood dream of mine to build my own robot. And I wanted to make it really cool and interesting and just allow people to be inspired by things that I'm doing. But, let me see here. This right here is actually just a prototype drawing I did. It was the first drawing I did for just the front of the robot. As you can see, there's sensors and there's like kind of like a tape player in here and just this like the wheel assemblies and such. It's turns out a lot different than this. So I'm going to switch over to the next photo, which is pretty much my arm prototype where the servos are. This really hadn't changed much here. The arm portion right here has kind of changed some, but I'm planning on doing a little more with it later on. The motor setup here is pretty much identical except for there's 2 sets of them, not just one. Let's see here. If I can get Facebook to act the way it needs to. Refresh this. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this is the side of it. As you can see, I have a radio that was going to be put in there right here in this section. I'm still on the fence of what I'm going to do with that. The battery compartment is still going to be in the lower part of it, because if you look, this is actually split up into 3 different sections. There's a bottom section, a middle section, a top section, and then there's the head. This bottom section here is actually where the motor drivers will be, and also the batteries. I'm going to be installing the batteries down here, not in this section. But it's going to have an Atari in it. It's going to have a not a Super Nintendo, but a regular Nintendo Entertainment Center in it. It's going to have a screen on the front. It's also going to have the brain box is going to be built into the back of it, so that way it actually has its capability of doing what it wants to do there. And then it's actually going to have a follow me kind of gimbal camera thing. It's going to be mounted pretty much kind of in this area here, but I haven't really shown it on this picture here. The arm servos will actually be attached here onto the side, which you're going to see all this here in a few minutes. There's also the eyeball section, which is pretty much just lights that are in its head. So, just something cool that I'm trying to do with that. Moving on over here, the gripping hand, this is kind of like the way the prototype actually is turned out, similar to this. I'm still working on trying to do more with the actual hand portion. It's still kind of in work. Same thing with the Nerf gun. I'm actually going to be installing a Nerf gun on here, so that way you can actually fire a Nerf gun from the hands. I do want it to have that capability of doing that. It's something I'm going to have to be looking at more advanced, but hey, see what we can do there, right? And moving on, it's kind of funny. You see 3 huge Rubbermaid totes. And then you see like this kind of dome thing sitting on top of it. Well, this is just kind of me putting just the parts just on top of each other to see how big it's going to be, what it will entail, and how long it will probably take me to build this thing. So this is just kind of a rough setup. Yes, I know, I'm making it from Rubbermaid totes, and let me tell you why. Because they're durable, they're cheap, and that's the big thing about this thing. I'm building this thing cheaply. I'm not spending a ton of money on this thing, mainly because it's a cool thing I want to build, and it's going to get expanded on through the future. But moving on here, you can see this is just kind of like just some of the parts that I've just got kind of laying there. I've got this Vex Robotics switch grip ball launcher that I'm probably going to try to use. I've also got some like RC parts here for making like remote control cars and such, so I'm going to try to integrate some kind of circuitry there. And this little test brick thing here is just primarily to add a little life. I'm going to put like lights in it and such, so it's going to look kind of cool when I get done putting all these bits and pieces in here. And you eagle-eyed viewers out there are like, oh my god, there's a GoBot like command center here pulled apart. Yeah, there is. This is actually this speaker piece here. This is the electronics out of that, and I have yet to figure out how I'm going to integrate it in there, but I kind of want to put it in there because it'd be just kind of funny. But here we go with just the top part. This is a plastic dome that I acquired at work because we have these huge spectators standee type of cardboard things that they bring in and throw out. Well, this piece here came from this movie called Argyle, and I took the plastic piece out and brought it home and cleaned it up, and that's what I'm going to be using for the top of my robot's head. The bottom part here, you see how it's kind of facing down? Well, I decided to change that, but I'll show you that soon. And right here, this little black piece here, this is the neck piece. This is actually where the speakers are going to be housed along with the servo. You'll actually see pictures of this here soon. And here's a bit of a mock-up of me basically taking the arm piece and just kind of playing with it. These are GoBot like pieces that I'm using because it's an old GoBot command center that literally was not really salvageable. It had a lot of cracks and a lot of plastic. The entire elevator mechanism was completely gone. The stickers were not salvageable. It was just in really terrible condition. So I was like, you know what, this would be a perfect thing for me to be able to use for parts of the body and bits and pieces for the robot. So I went ahead and started using them. Right here's a picture of the screen that's going to be on the front of it. It is a bit big, but I'm not really sure if it's going to fit completely the way I want it to. It's actually an X-Pen drawing tablet, and it plugs in with HDMI, so I'm able to plug a computer directly into it and run anything I want on the front of this thing, and including running any updates to the actual computer software that goes to the robot portion itself. This will be an independent powered part, but that's the whole point, is this thing to have some kind of independent bits and pieces built within it, because hey, it's my robot. I want it to do what I need to do. Here's a box of the parts that I got in, which is amazing. If you guys are eagle-eyed viewers out there, you'll probably recognize this as Meccano. I used a lot of Meccano parts for this because this is just the basis of what I'm going to be building off of. My thing is to get the basic robot going and then later on expand upon it. Here's the redesign that I actually did. If you notice, the arm is kind of in a weird position. That arm actually gets moved up here. You'll see it here in a few minutes when I show you the actual pictures of what it looks like. I actually have a switch box that I'm going to be adding, so that way I can switch inputs. And I want to make sure it just has everything it possibly needs for having a video camera attached to it, have an ability to record directly onto the computer from a video camera, or the same thing with me capturing any video game play I do with the Atari or the Nintendo. All this stuff's going to be ran directly into the computer with a TV tuner card, and then it will just run directly to the monitor, and everything will be right there on the monitor. It's kind of cool. Right here on the back, you'll notice that the PC kind of sticks out here a little bit. That's because it's going to stick out of the back a little bit, so that way I can access the buttons on it along with the DVD-ROM that it'll have a DVD burner built into it, so it'll have all this. It's also going to have a brain piece right here. This will be above it. And then down here is a walkie-talkie system. I'm actually going to install a walkie-talkie system on it because I just thought it'd be cool to have a walkie-talkie system on a robot. I mean, who doesn't want that? And then I'll have a battery access panel here on the very bottom where the batteries will actually go. And then the Atari and NES will be mounted here into the front portion. I also have an iPod dock that I'm going to be putting here on the front as well. I just don't have it drawn on here. And if you notice down here, Marshall Bill 1978. That's the full name of the robot. You guys are probably wondering, Marshall Bill, what is that? That is the name of an imaginary friend I had when I was really little. And I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool just to use that name lineage and put it onto my very first robot that I'm going to build. And then I just like, okay, I'm going to put MB78 will actually be stenciled somewhere on the robot itself, and he's just going to be going by the shorthand Bill. I'm just going to call him Bill. I just don't want anything crazy things that are going to cause him to start doing other stuff. So I'm going by the shorthand Bill, because there's nobody named Bill in our house and there's nobody named Bill anywhere else around us, so it works. And also, it's a bit of a memory of an uncle of mine that passed away, and his name was Bill. So it really kind of has a lot of weight to it. Moving on, here's a parts list. I still need to get vultures and regulators and battery pack chargers. That's some of the stuff I still need to get. I still need to acquire the walkie-talkie system, and the same thing with the personal cameraman. I don't have those bits yet. I also don't actually have it written on here, but I need to get extension cables for the servos and then extension cables for the battery pack system. This is our first look at the first thing I did. I decided to start building the neck piece. And the neck piece is actually part of the Meccano system that I actually kind of just put together. I envisioned some stuff, started putting the pieces together, and this is how it came out. I actually have this collar piece you're seeing here, along with a little bit of black here stuff. I will click over to the next one so you can actually see the servo and the housing. This is where the GoBot headquarters came in handy. I actually used it for the neck support piece. If you notice, here's a Meccano servo here. It's actually got a spare little plug-in here, so if I wanted to run another servo out of it, I could. I just want this thing to turn its head left and right. I'm going really, really basic with it because I don't want it to be anything too complicated. And this other wire you see coming out, this is the longer wire that will actually go to the brain box. This is another picture of the housing, and this is with the neck piece actually attached with the piece that I created to hold this housing in. I think I've done a pretty good job. It literally moves left and right, just kind of like that. I'm saying, I don't want it to have a movement to turn 360 degrees. I don't need that. It's just too much. So I was just like, if it can turn its head from side to side, I'm happy. This is another picture kind of looking at the assembly system that actually plugs into the servo. And it's kind of self-explanatory if you just kind of look at it there. It's nothing huge and elaborate, but it's also nothing like really, I'd say boring. And right here's kind of a bit of a mock-up. I was thinking about still using these two bits off the GoBot Command Center, but I scrapped this whole idea. Those pieces were going to be too difficult to try to actually attach to the servo systems, and if you notice, one of these servos is actually already bolted to a bracket. And this is the first time I've actually took the arm that I actually assembled and attached it to the bracket to see how the weight would hang and if it would clear these lips here on the sides of the totes, and it does. I'm glad it does. And here's a mock-up of one of the hands. This is the thumb portion. This whole area right here actually will open like this. It's just going to be a basic servo open and close. It's not going to have like fingers. I don't think it needs fingers. It's too much for me to try to engineer that in right now, but in the future maybe. and this is a picture of the hand at its full extent. So it kind of shows you how far it actually goes out. It's got some range. This is the left and right arm fully assembled. And this is just the skeleton pieces. These are not the full on what you're going to see when the robot's complete. I'm actually going to be putting some kind of coverings and sheaths over everything so that way all the electronics are protected, and it just kind of gives it a better aesthetic when I do that. Here's a picture of the drive motor system. This is the front portion and the rear portion. There is a difference between the two. That's why these brace pieces here are designed the way they are. And this is all stuff I designed. I didn't go by anybody else's ideas or anything. I literally just dreamt this up and started going. So this back piece here actually has little casters on it, and I'll show you that. Here's the front one. This is kind of a close-up of some of the stuff I got going on with it. It's pretty neat. I'm very happy that I decided to do this, and I think it works really well. And here's the back one showing the rear casters. These casters are not motorized. These are free flowing, but the motors themselves are actually driven. So these are here to help it kind of keep it from tilting backward. And this is just a picture of the plug that actually plugs in the motors for the drive motors. Now this is kind of a funny picture because it looks like eyes. It's not eyes. These are actual speakers. These are actually built into the neck piece. And I'm actually going to have a grid that'll go over this. So that way you won't even see those. And here's the first piece I actually started really assembling. I put the neck portion, attached it directly to the base of this tub, and these are all bolted on. And this here is a picture of the other pieces I have underneath it that are actually holding it. As you notice, these are hex head, and they're going to be square nuts. They're not your standard stuff, which is good because it keeps anybody else from ripping it apart. But I'm also going to have a tool container on the side of it that will actually hold everything possibly needed, just to repair it if I ever need to. And here's the top portion, and you can see that I've cut the hole in the tub in order to actually attach the head and this neck piece. And you guys notice this is cut out a little more here. It's mainly because it does have this bit of a lip piece that sticks out. And I'm planning on putting a kind of like a sheath around this, so that way it kind of closes it off. Hi Alex, how's it going, man? Here's the back piece. No, I'm not making the arc. This is actually a I'd say about a 5-foot robot that I'm creating. Anyway, this is the back of the neck. It's gonna be like motorized, like I said. It'll move back and forth. And this is pretty much a mock-up of how big this thing is. This isn't complete. This is just kind of sat together. The top part actually wasn't bolted on at this point. I've actually got the arms hanging there, so that way those are actually fully bolted on. And underneath here is actually got the rollers as well, which you'll see a picture of that here in a second. And this is kind of the way the head's going to look. The head's going to be this weird dome thing here that's got all the clearness to it. I'm telling you, those two little speakers straight look like eyes. They are not eyes. It's kind of funny, but those will get covered up soon. And here's a close-up of the arm actually fully dangling on its own weight. It's bolted on. Yes, on a dollar store budget, yes. And that's how I roll. But, yeah, it's kind of cool. I've come up with this design just throughout the years. I just been really wanting to build something, so I was like, you know what, I wanted something that was Star Wars inspired. I wanted something that kind of reminded me of the B9 from Lost in Space, and I also want to kind of have like personality of Johnny 5. So I'm kind of going with all of it, just because I wanted to have all that. And when I get done with this thing, it's going to have crazy decals all over it. It's going to look pretty cool when I'm finished with it. And here's the drive motors are actually built onto the bottom of it, and yes, this will be voice activated, so it will move, it will talk, it will do all this craziness. It's not just a stagnant statue that's going to sit in a corner. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. But you notice the drive motors are actually just kind of sitting here. And that's the whole point, Alex's retro sci-fi vibes. Yes, this is exactly what I'm going for, and that's what I want. I've always wanted something like this, and I was like, you know what, it's at this point in my life, at my age, I might as well start doing it now, because God knows we aren't going to have anything like this probably for another 20-30 years. And here's the first picture of the eyes, also known as just the LEDs that are going to be in the top. If you notice, I've got a couple of little circuit boards here, and the circuit boards have got a set of LEDs going forward and backward. That's why I said the head isn't going to do a 360. It doesn't need to. It just needs to just do kind of 180. It'll move back and forth because it's literally going to have eyes in the back of its head. So it doesn't need that. It also keeps me from twisting a bunch of wires and having to deal with that insane stuff. But if you notice, I've actually got everything bolted down to this plastic piece here. And by the way, most of the stuff, it's going to be one of those things that it's a budget system that I'm putting together. By the time I'm done with this, I might have a couple $100 in it. It's not going to be like one of those robots you see that it costs like $4,000 or $5,000. And the other thing is I want it to be lightweight and easy for me to move, easy for me to disassemble, because this thing will actually be modular, so I can actually take it apart if I need to. And the older I get, things are heavy. I don't want to have to kill myself and kill my back trying to do that. Anyway, here's a picture of the wires that are actually running from the LEDs going through the base. You can see the two brackets I've actually bolted on to the neck piece. And then here is a picture of the dome sitting on top. I've actually changed what I'm doing here. I'm not actually going to be using magnets. I'm actually going to be using Velcro, because the magnets just weren't strong enough. Plus I noticed that the hot glue I used, yes, the arms will be modular, by the way. I'm going to make it so that way I can actually take one of the hands off and switch it out for like a drill if I want, or just literally like an arm cannon or anything like that. I'm going to put stuff on there so that way it actually has swappable arms. And this is a bit of a close-up of the electronics within the plastic dome. And the whole point with the hat piece is just primarily just like aesthetic. But it's gone a long ways from this original design. So I'm very proud of what I've been working on. And this is a ongoing project. This isn't something that's going to get done in like a couple months. It's probably going to take me, I'm trying to get this done possibly by the end of the year. Like fully to the point that it's got all the electronics running in it. It'll have like its own way of getting around, and the paint job and all the plating and such that goes on the arms, all that stuff will get done, because I want it to be perfect when I get done with it. Yes, actually it does. If you go to the very beginning of the stream, I actually start talking about this thing's backstory. It's primarily kind of a thing that let me see. The funny thing is, the name of it is from an imaginary friend that I had when I was a kid. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually give this thing life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm probably going to come up with some crazy backstory later on as I keep on building and adding to it, because things going to have all different types of like decals and just different branding and such all thrown all over it, so that way it just literally screams retro as it possibly can. So I'm kind of trying to go the direction of, this is cool and it's going to remain cool even till like the day I'm not even around, because people are going to discover this thing and be like, holy cow, this thing's amazing. It's just because it's one of those things, like right now I'm just building, like I said, like the base robot. It'll have the Nintendo put in it. It'll have an Atari built into it. It's going to have the computer system put on it. By the way, the computer's actually going to have Windows XP, like the best anything I can put on it. It'll actually be Media Center Edition, so I'll actually have a remote control, so I can control like music off of it. I'll literally be able to just play movies directly off of it, anything. It's going to be pretty funny the way this thing's set up, because it's basically going to be a rolling media center that's a robot, and it's just going to be pretty crazy. Next project, maybe one day I might actually get into building maybe like a dinosaur robot. But this thing is gonna take some time. I mean, I've been messing with the robots for a while. Recently, I decided to build a solar bot, and I've named him Corky because he looks like Wally, but he is Corky. And his little head just kind of comes up. It is solar powered. It's got a solar panel right there on the top, and then it's just got little wheels that move. It's pretty cool. I love it. And he's really cute. It literally just runs off of just solar power. It doesn't require any batteries. And he's kind of cool. I do like him a lot. And then I've got another robot I've been kind of messing with, called the MIP. This thing, found at Goodwill. Like $5. And it's crazy because this thing actually has like its own AI and such, which is kind of funny. So I mean, I've been kind of playing with him. I do have Cosmo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cosmo, but let me look him up for you guys real quick, so that way you can see who I'm talking about. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this little guy before, but he's cute. He's definitely one of the coolest little AI toy robots that you can get on the market. I don't have Vector. Vector's the upgraded version of him, but Cosmo's still cute. He runs off of an app that can be on like iPhone or Android. Bill, the big robot I'm building, actually only runs off of Android. So I'm going to be using my Android tablet to do any kind of interface and such with him, other than doing major updates with the computer that'll actually be plugged directly into the brain box on the actual robot itself. My whole point is trying to get everything so it's self-contained, so you don't have like a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. And it's just one of those things, like I live in an apartment, so I don't have a whole lot of room. So it's not like I have like a huge workshop to do a lot of this stuff in. Because I had a friend of mine, well, not a friend of mine, my brother, I should say. He's not my friend, he's my brother. He told me, he's like, well, why don't you make this thing out of aluminum? And I told him, I was like, well, I would, but I don't actually have a metal shop. So I can't really do it that way. So I decided, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and just go for it and create this robot directly from all the bits and pieces I can find in the house, and just any kind of pieces I can get offline or even in thrift shops and stuff like that. And that's kind of where things have been going with it. I've done very, very well so far, knowing all the parts that I need, and I'm just having fun. The other thing is, if you guys personally know me, you'd know I'm a huge fan of Adam Savage from Mythbusters. If you guys haven't watched his channel, it's a channel called Tested, and I really suggest you guys go out there and check it out, because he does a lot of maker stuff as well, and it's just cool. I'm just really into this type of thing. I've always wanted to build a robot. This pushes my skills a little more, because I'm into like making custom stuff anyway. I mean, I've customized my car before in the past. I do a lot of custom toys. I mean, I've customized Nerf guns. I've done a whole lot of stuff on movie sets when it comes to customization and building stuff directly from scratch. So, I mean, I'm really into this kind of stuff, and it's kind of my jam. So I figured I'm going to push myself to the limits, and I'm going to build myself a robot. And the cool thing is this guy's going to be very expandable. With all the room that's going to have inside of it, I'll be able to get me another Arduino for it. I'm also going to get a Raspberry Pi for it. I'm going to put a ton of servos in it. Customize my dog. Now he has thrusters. If I had a dog, it'd be funny, because he probably would. I actually watched a video today. It's called the Pi Dog. And it's actually a dog made of it's like an aluminum body, but it's got like all these servos and such. You can use a Raspberry Pi in order to actually operate him, and he's really cute. And I thought about getting one later on. It would be kind of cool to have him maybe following Bill around, which would be funny, because then Bill would have his own little robot companion. I just think it'd be hilarious having a robot following a robot. It's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me. I'm just into the weird stuff. It's just how I am. But I think the biggest thing about this whole situation is I'm doing this to inspire other people, but I'm also doing this for my own mental health, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And it's just one of those things that I think a lot of you guys out there should try doing. Don't let your dreams get crushed because you might not have the money. You can find a way to do it. You may end up having to null the parts throughout the years, or you may be lucky enough to find some bits and pieces and get started right away. So I just want to leave you guys with this. Keep working hard. Stay positive. A retractable machine gun. Well, he's going to have a Nerf gun, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm already working on that. But anyway, I want to let you guys know that I appreciate you guys all popping into my YouTube and checking out some of the stuff I've been doing. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done anything. But keep your heads up. Keep working hard on everything you guys are doing. If you guys are out there making stuff, make the stuff. Keep making stuff. Because that's the drive of the human race, is to create. Don't be limited to the tiny little things that some people try to limit you with. I know money's tight, but you can still make things happen. Anyhow, this has been Plasticon, and this is me signing off. And I'll see you guys around, and enjoy the rest of YouTube and all the crazy stuff that's going on. Peace out.